Hey friends, welcome back to Simply Home and Harvest. I'm Jen. Today I'm taking you along as I get ready for a Father's Day dinner that we're hosting here in our home tonight. Now, I've been preparing for this all week, and if you watched the last video, you saw a little shopping trip, or grocery haul rather, leading up to this. A lot of the stuff I already had in the house, which was a blessing and kind of the way I planned it too, because you know things are expensive right now, so I was trying to cut costs where I could. We had a ham in the freezer downstairs that we needed to cook, so we're going to cook that today. Actually, Tim's gonna cook that in the smoker, and I'm gonna add the sides to it. So I've got my notes here. I am a planner. I take notes. I write down the menu. I write down recipes if I need to. I'll write out like what time things need to go in the oven, how long they bake for, what I need to prep ahead. So I've been doing that all week, kind of like I do at Thanksgiving. But I did go ahead and prep ahead some things yesterday. So today's the day of the event. I've got a table that I want to set. I've got to tidy up the house a bit. Alex is downstairs playing with some friends, so if you hear the noise, you'll just have to ignore that. I've tried to calm them down, but I've had no luck. Tim and Ella are out of the house, so I'm gonna try to get as much done and accomplished before they get back. But what I did go ahead and do was I made the desserts yesterday, or rather last night, and I made a chocolate fudge pie, which I'm gonna show you later in the video how we made that. And then you've seen my lemon pound cake before, but this time I made, and you can't see it, I'll give you a better shot of it later on. But this time I made my lemon supreme pound cake, but I added some blueberries to it. It's one of Tim's favorites. I tried to pick some favorites from the dads that are gonna be involved, because it'll be, of course, my husband, and then my parents, his parents, my brother, his wife, and their children, and then our whole family. So I tried, there's 4 dads represented, so I tried to do something that each one would like. And so here's our menu. Aside from the ham, we're gonna have some Cowboy baked beans, which I'm gonna take you along on that. We actually had the most delicious, and I call them Cowboy beans, or Old Settlers beans maybe is another name for them. But we had them, or we had some like this recipe at my daughter's friend's graduation party, and they were delicious. The recipe is somewhat similar to that one, but this is a recipe that I got out of one of my cookbooks, and they're all pretty much similar. Lots of meat, lots of beans, you know, really hearty baked beans. So we're gonna do that one. And then my mom is gonna make some macaroni and cheese in the crock pot. Tim has requested a corn casserole. I'm gonna show you how we do that. We made up some deviled eggs yesterday. We made those ahead, and I've got videos on deviled eggs if you'd like to see my recipe. We made those at Easter. I think I'm gonna roast some broccoli in the oven because I've got lots of frozen broccoli in my freezer. I made up some slaw yesterday, just a prepared like mix as far as like the cabbage and the carrots and all that. I bought that in a bag already prepared, and then I just made my own dressing and added that to it. So that is already done. And it's in the 90s today. You can see the fans going. I'm trying to keep cool as well, but I know I'm gonna have to heat my oven up. Actually, I'm gonna make biscuits, and I wanna do those at the last minute, and my oven has to be at 500. So I also thought about making fried okra, which will also heat the house up considerably because we'll have to do that on the stovetop, but that is my brother's absolute favorite. So we might still do that, and then our homemade biscuits, which I'm gonna save showing you how I make my biscuits for another time. Probably the same thing with the okra. I did make fried okra maybe last summer, so I'm sure we will make it again this summer, and you'll see that in lots of upcoming videos. All right, well, we're going to get started, and I've made my list. I've been tidying up the house. I'm going to prep our baked beans. Okay, we are going to put together our baked beans. Like I was saying, we're gonna put together our corn casserole. It won't cook in the oven until later. We are gonna make our own whipped cream for our chocolate pie. I will show you that. Gosh, this video might be really long. We might have to split this video up. We'll roast our broccoli later. We'll bake our okra later. We'll make our biscuits later. Okay, let's get started. All right, well, I'm gonna take a minute to go ahead and start on the baked beans. So I'm going to cook up a pound of ground beef, and then I cut up a pound of bacon. I'm going to cook that up. And while we do that, I'm going to show you how I made the fudge pie last night. Okay guys, so tonight we're making a chocolate pecan pie. Now I have made this in the past, but I've actually switched out the pecans for walnuts, and I don't think you can go wrong either way. My preference was the walnuts, but I'm gonna tell you how to make the pie filling. We are gonna use a store-bought pie shell, which we're gonna use a Marie Callender's tonight, but I've made my pie shell from scratch in the past so easy, so one day I will show you how to do that. All right, we're getting started with 1/4 cup of baking cocoa powder, and then we're gonna add to that 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Next, you're gonna need 1 cup of white sugar. I have 1/4 cup measuring cup in my sugar, so it's going to take me a little while to get that added. And then we're just going to give all of that a good mix. Now I've already beat together 2 eggs in a bowl, so I'm just going to add that into our mixture at this point. Our recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla, so I'm just going to eyeball it here with our homemade vanilla. And you know, I don't think there's any problem if you go over a little bit. The more vanilla, the better, I think. Mix that together, and then the final step is to add in our stick of melted butter. This is 1/2 cup. I just melted it in the microwave, and then I did let it cool for just a couple of minutes. Oh, there is one final step. Got to add those pecans in. We're going to add in about 1 cup. These are some that I already had chopped and in our freezer from the fall when a friend gifted me a lot of pecans. I have really enjoyed having those on hand and using them in recipes. All right, we're going to use our store-bought pie crust tonight. There's no shame in that. And we're going to add our mixture right in. Now we're going to cook this, actually we're going to bake it at 325 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. I just make sure that the top is set, and it will continue to cook, you know, once you pull it out of the oven. So if it looks slightly jiggly, that's okay. It will continue to cook, but you want to make sure that that top is at least, you know, set and burnt. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed watching us prepare that. I wish you were here so you could enjoy it with us. But we are going to make some whipped cream to go on top of that here a little bit later. But first, my meat has already browned. It's cooked. But I like really crispy bacon, so this is going to take a few more minutes. And while we're waiting on that, I thought we could go ahead and prep our corn casserole. Now I'm using our church cookbook again, and I'm going to make the corn casserole. And guess whose recipe it is? It actually is my mom's recipe. I have made this several times. I don't know if I've ever made it on YouTube for you, but it has been a family favorite. However, we have not had it in a few years, and it was one of the dishes that my husband requested that we have tonight for dinner. So we're going to make this, and well, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it together. We won't bake it until closer to the time we eat, but I think we'll have enough time to do it with this going on. All right, I've already gotten my dish greased here. This is about an 8x8 baking dish, and then in our bowl, we're going to mix all of our very simple ingredients together. So first thing you're going to need is a 15-ounce can of your sweet corn, and I did drain it. So that goes in. Then we're going to use a can of the cream style corn. You would not drain that because you want it to be the cream style there. Next, you're going to use a whole box of the corn muffin mix I use the Jiffy brand. Next, we're going to use a cup of sour cream. I'm going to eyeball it. I'm sure that's about a cup. Also need a stick of melted butter. That's 1/2 cup. We've melted that in our microwave. All right, now we're going to put this into our pan, and then we bake it first and then top it with cheese and then put it back in there to melt the cheese. So we'll save our cheese, which I've already shredded out, 1.5 cups of cheese for later. Now we're just gonna get this into our bowl. If we didn't have all this bacon going into the baked beans, I was just sitting here thinking that bacon in this would be so good. So we just might have to try that out one day. It will definitely be a good complement to everything that we're having. Now you could do this in a 13 by 9 dish and it will, you know, just, maybe I should do it in a 13 by 9 dish, but I've already had this one prepared. Anyway, if you bake it in a 13 by 9, it just won't be as deep. Well, that is done. Cover it up. We'll pop this in the fridge and we'll bring it out closer to time to eat. Okay, it's time to put our baked beans together. So I'm using 2 cans of baked beans for our Cowboy beans. And I did decide to use the bushes because I know that that's, to me, that's the best if you can. So we're gonna have a lot in here. All right, we're going in with 1 can of pork and beans. Next, we're gonna put in a can of pinto beans. And then we're gonna add 2 cans of Great Northern. Now, some recipes call for green beans or lima beans. You could always switch the beans up. I know that it would be good no matter how you do it. Okay, now we're going to put in our meat. So here's 1 pound of cooked ground beef. Now, you could add an onion to this, which is what our recipe calls for, but you know that not everyone likes onions in this house. So I did add some minced onion to it as I was cooking it, some onion powder. I also added a little bit of garlic powder to it, just trying to give it that good onion flavor. All right, next we're gonna add our bacon in. Now I'm not gonna add all this grease in, but I would like to add a little bit of it. Let's see if we can do this. If the dads don't like these beans, something is wrong. We do save our bacon grease. We will use that later on for something. All right. All right, the recipe calls for a cup of ketchup. We're gonna eyeball this. We're also gonna add in some barbecue sauce. So I think I'm gonna do like half a cup of each of those. I think that's gonna be good. This is our barbecue sauce that we canned. I'm just gonna do all that. And then we're gonna go in with a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. This is a 1/3 cup. That's a 1/4 cup, so we'll do a little bit more. Oh boy, y'all, this is gonna be so good. Now there are lots of different recipes for Cowboy beans, so you'll have to let me know what you do differently from this recipe. I would love to hear your suggestions. All right, well, I'm gonna put this in our slow cooker. It's gonna cook on low for 4 hours. Really, I'm probably just gonna let it cook until it's time to eat. We'll come back and check it later. All right, you guys, all this cooking is making me hungry. So I put together a little salad for myself so that I don't eat everything in sight tonight. And also, I went ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and roast the broccoli in the oven. And then what I think I'll do is put it in a casserole dish and just stick it in the microwave, and then we can heat it up later. That way I don't have so much going on so close to dinner time. So this is just a bag of frozen broccoli that I just doused with some olive oil, and then I used my garlic and herb seasoning. Let me show you that. Now that's this garlic and herb seasoning. I used that all over the top, just really like rubbed it all together. Now I'm gonna roast this in the oven, 400 degrees for 30 minutes, and hopefully we will end up with some great, just tender, roasted, delicious broccoli. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make the heavy whipped cream for our pie, and I'm just gonna use the heavy whipping cream here. We're gonna do a 1.5 cups of this. I've measured it out. Then we're gonna add a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, and then about a teaspoon of vanilla. I did chill this bowl. It suggested a metal bowl, so I chilled it in the freezer a little bit because that's what it also suggested to do. And then we're going to whip this just until we get some soft peaks like you would see in Cool Whip. All right. All right, so we've got our Cool Whip consistency here. That only took probably a minute. And we're gonna put that in the fridge and it'll be ready for tonight. Guys, well, I wanted to check in with you one more time before it gets really hectic. It's about 30 minutes before everybody gets here. Tim's got the ham in the smoker. It's been cooking for a few hours now and it'll be out soon. I'm getting ready to prep my biscuits. They'll go in the oven. The corn casserole is already in there. I forgot to show you that, but it's in there. It's going to cook at 350 degrees for 45 minutes. And then I'm gonna bring it out, put that 1.5 cups of cheese on it, and then put it back in there for 15 more minutes, just let it get melted. So I'll show you what everything looks like as we pull the table together. I finished the fried okra and I did put it together early just because I wanted to have that out of the way. So I've got this little slow cooker here on the warm feature, and hopefully that's gonna keep everything, warm, and it won't be too bad, too soggy or anything. All right, let me show you the baked beans. Let's get a little sneak peek at those. Look at that, they look amazing. Let's stir them and see. Oh my goodness. Wish she could smell them. Oh my goodness, they're gonna be so good. All right, well, I'm gonna pull everything together. I will try really hard to get some footage for you after it's all laid out. But when people start coming in and things get busy at the last minute, it's hard to be recording at the same time. So I will show you a biscuit recipe in a future video, how I do the biscuits. I'll show you step by step on the fried okra very soon because we've got okra in our garden, so we'll be doing that a lot this summer. Anything else? Let's see. I guess that's all for now. Okay, I'll bring you back here in a little bit. Look at that ham out of the smoker. Oh my goodness. That is a huge piece of ham. I have to get the knives ready. Rowan, you like it? Yum. Well guys, it's about 9:30 at night. The last of our company just left. I think everybody had a wonderful time. I did try to get a few pictures. I didn't get too much, but I will pop up on here at the end a few of the pictures that I did get this evening. The food was absolutely delicious. The ham, so good. Tim did a great job on that. Just all of it. My mom brought mac and cheese. It was so delicious. Anyway, I'm tired. I think everybody in this house is tired, and we've got a big event that we've got to get ready for tomorrow. So we'll be getting up tomorrow and getting food ready for our Sunday school fiesta. And so I'll be bringing you along for that as well. But right now I'm gonna get these dishes done and I'm going to get ready for bed so I can get ready for tomorrow. So until next time, remember to live simply, use what you have, enjoy the moments you've been given, and I will see you all back in the next one.